Hello friends, today we will discuss an important current affair, that is President or Governor address to the legislature. Recently in Tamil Nadu Assembly, when Governor is addressing the legislature, he skipped some portion of the speech which was approved by the State Council of Ministers. Then immediately after completion of the speech, Chief Minister stood up and he tried to pass a resolution that the House must not accept the speech read by the Governor as it is, but the House should consider only the speech which was approved by the Council of Ministers and as it was circulated to the members. By sensing this, the Governor of Tamil Nadu has walked out of the assembly. Later the House adopted that resolution. This has created a lot of debate and discussion among various political parties, constitutional experts and the students of law, because it involves lot of violation of some rules and procedures of the House and also some constitutional provisions, because there are some aberrations. Always the violation of the constitutional provisions is subjected to the interpretation, how we are interpreting. But this has created a lot of discussion and some people again started questioning the necessity of the position of the Governor. Some people, because it is already a debate in this country for so many years whether we should have the position called Governor or not, and some people are saying in opposition ruling state the governors are behaving like a mere representatives of the union government, so this position should be abolished. And some governors openly they are saying like, if we want to strictly abide with the elected government without applying our mind, then it is better to have a rubber stamp instead of having the governor. When constitution clearly stipulates some rules and when the present political administrative system is giving lot of privileges to the governor and emoluments, should we not apply our mind in interpreting the provisions of the constitution or rules? So that is how they are showing their own, that is how they are showing their own, that is how they are showing their own helplessness. But on the other hand, some governors are saying like, there are enough powers to the governor that are clearly stipulated in the constitution. We should not consider governor like a mere rubber stamp, and we can exercise the power and we have that authority given it in the constitution, and in some cases the governor is more powerful, that is he is having more powers than the President of India also. So on this occasion just I want to focus on the specific concept called the President or Governor address to the legislature. Now under this I will focus on 7 important areas. One is related to the constitutional provisions related to the President or Governor's address to the legislature. Second one is the genesis of this practice. Third one is the importance associated with this speech. Fourth one, the power of President or Governor during that event, that means during that meeting. Fifth one, there are some important issues that are associated with the speech. They are, should governor read the speech or can he become absent? Can he be absent? First one, should the governor read the speech or can he abstain from that? B, can the governor change the speech? Does he have an authority to alter the speech? C, is it compulsory to read the full speech or he can read only part of the speech? And D, can governor skip any portion of the speech? Selectively can he skip any portion of the speech? So these are the important questions that require an answer that will give you full clarity over this whole concept of president or governor's speech to the or address to the legislature. And another important thing is discussion on the speech and resolutions and amendments and passage of the motion of thanks. Should it be done immediately in the presence of governor or will it happen later? And the final thing is, does this whole thing lead to a constitutional crisis or a political embarrassment? And these things I will discuss in this video. Constitutional provisions. Constitutional provisions. In our constitution, the president and governor both are having an authority to communicate with the legislature, and it was dealt under Article 86 and Article 87 for the president and union legislature, that is parliament, and 175 and 176 articles deals with the governor and governor's communication with the state legislature. And governor can send a communication regarding any pending bill, regarding any legislation, but our present context is the governor's address or the president address to the house, but the present context is the governors or the president address to the house. It is not through a communicative message, but it is a direct communication, a direct address to the legislature. And in the Article 87 and in the Article 176, it was clearly mentioned that, now I am giving, it has two provisions, clause 1 and clause 2. And Article 87 clause 1 reads that at the commencement of the first session after each general election to the House of People and at the commencement of the first session of each year. So, there are two conditions stipulated. First one is the first session after each general election to the House of People or Lok Sabha, or the first session of each year. Now, the president has to address both the houses of parliament together. So, that is what mentioned it in the clause 1. In the clause 2, it is clearly mentioned that the provision shall be made by the rules regulating the procedure of either house for the allotment of time for the discussion of the matters referred to in that speech. So, the first clause is talking about the president address to both the houses of parliament, when he can address, that is after he will address the first session after the general election, and he will address the first session of every year. And second one is you have to make the rules for discussion of that speech. So, a speech followed by the discussion. So, an address, that items mentioned in the address must be discussed. And in a same way, clause 1 and clause 2, it gives the information related to the governor. So, now same, the governor will address the first session after the general election of that particular assembly, and if the two houses are there, he will address the two houses jointly. If we are having only one house, he will address that one house, and after that rules are made to discuss about the items mentioned it under the speech. So, the Article 87, Article 176 deals about the president or the governor's address to the legislature. Genesis. Actually, it was a British practice. It was there in Britain. But when it comes to India, this practice started with 1921. And there was a Government of India Act 1919, So, with this Government of India Act of 1919, we have created a central legislature in this country and it is having two houses. Now, in that act it is mentioned like the Governor General will address either of the houses according to his discretion, and there is no clear provision like the Governor General must address both the houses, but it has given some power to the Governor General to address on his discretion, and after that Governor General he has separately addressed the one house, that is House of People, and sometimes he address both the houses also. Why he need to address? Why he need to address means, if you understand the pre 1947, it is not like the present day parliamentary system, where executive is separate and the legislature is separate, and executive always try to communicate with the legislature regarding his plans and what type of legislations and how we need to take this development agenda or administration. So, that is why it has required to communicate every time the Governor General with the legislature. But in present day, the executive is part of the legislature, and the one who is addressing the legislature is a nominal head, but he is not a real head. He is just a nominal head. Real head is part of the legislature, and real head, that is the Prime Minister or the Chief Minister, they are the Council of Ministers is responsible to the legislature. So, does it require the practice? The point is, it is a British legacy, but it is mentioned in our constitution, but it don't have that much significance that we have in the pre 1947, but it is a constitutional practice and we are following it. Importance. See, this president or governor speech is, it is a statement of policy of the government, and in this speech the government refers to the activities which was done by the government and the achievements that was recorded in the previous year, and also the government policy and position related to various issues that the country or the state is facing, and also it gives the idea about the future plans of the government, and sometimes it also gives the brief account of the programs of the government business for that session. So, overall it is a policy of the government. It includes various schemes, programs, legislations, the ideas, everything is mentioned in that speech. And after election or every first session of that year, President of India or the governor will come and they will give the overview of the government policy and government idea to the legislature, and he will read out that speech. And the speech is, though it is read by the president or the governor, but it is not the personal speech of the president or governor, but it is the speech which is approved by the government. Power of the president or governor during that event. Normally, if you observe recently, mostly at the state level, that to the states which are run by the opposition parties, there was a ruckus created during this governor's speech. And even if you looking into the parliament, even in the parliament also, there was some times where some political party members tried to create a disturbance during the president's address to the both the houses of parliament. And recently in Tamil Nadu also, the political parties created a disturbance to the governor when he is trying to address the assembly, and the same case was repeated in the West Bengal also. And in some states they are not allowing the governor to read the speech by extending the previous session, by considering it as it is not a new session. because they are not proroguing the house. If you prorogue the house, then only new session starts. Deliberately they are not proroguing, and they are saying like it's a continuation of the last session, so that they are not allowing the governors to give the address to the house. So what was the power of the president or the governor? And we have already looked into the constitutional provisions, that is article 87 and article 176. It is the constitutional duty of the president and governor to address the house or both the houses. It is the constitutional duty, and while they are performing this duty, they will occupy the position of the chair. And it is not a normal session of the parliament or assembly, because in a normal session either the speaker or the deputy speaker or the chairman or the deputy chairman chairs the proceedings of the house, and if it is joint session, it is headed by the speaker. But it is neither a stricter sense a joint session nor any individual session of the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, but it is a special thing. It was chaired by the president, and the president is having an authority to take care about the proceedings of that house, that session. Now, this particular event we consider it as a solemn event and a formal act under the constitution, and an utmost dignity and decorum is maintained, and this members has to follow this dignity and decorum. And on this occasion, if any disturbance is created, then the members are punishable by the respective house to which they belongs to, whether it is Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha in the state, whether it is the assembly or council. And there were instances where the house has taken the action on them, and if it requires, they will appoint a separate committee or they will forward it to a privilege committee, and they can punish the members. So that is the importance of this particular event. And there were some instances in the state of Rajasthan where the governor of Rajasthan has suspended the members of the house from that house. That means there are some instances in which governor expelled the members. Why he has expelled? Because they are creating the disturbance. They are creating the disturbance to the governor to perform the constitutional duty, and this was taken up by the house committee, that means privilege committee, and it was also questioned it in the Rajasthan High Court, and Rajasthan High Court has clearly mentioned that no, the governor is having such power, because governor is heading that session. So that is the power that the president and governor is having during that event, and they must read this speech and they must follow that constitutional duty. And without the president and governor's speech, if we take up any legislative business, and that legislative business can be considered as illegal and invalid and can be questioned in any court of law. If the state government deliberately skips it, or if the governor deliberately don't do it, that lead to a crisis, because the remaining proceedings of the house can be questioned in any court of law, because your proceed starts with the president or governor's address. So this is the important aspect related to the power of president or governor during the event. Next, I will explain, before I will come to the important issues, I will explain about the procedure involved in this governor's speech. The procedure is, normally the president and governor will summon both the houses, and when they are summoning both the houses, They don't inform anything related to governor or the president's speech, simply they will summon, and the summon will be sent to all the members of the parliament and state legislature. Once this is issued, then the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs at the union level and the legislative department at the state level, they will, with the consultation of the president and or the governor, they will fix a date and they will inform that decision, that date to the speaker, and speaker will issue a bulletin. And on that day, the president or the governor will address the house, and they will fix the time, and president will come, and there is a national anthem, and after that they will deliver the speech, and after that there is an again national anthem, and the president will leave. And I already told you, this sitting is not considered as a normal sitting, it is presided by the president. And after the president's speech, there was a convention, like vice president is also read some first and last paragraph of Hindi or English version. And at the state level, normally governor is giving, because governor is normally outside person, so he don't know the local, the official language of the state, so normally he will speak in English, and the speaker of that speaker will read another version. So that is how speech is completed. Once the speech got completed, that particular meeting got over, and with a gap of half an hour, the normal session resumes. The normal session resume. Normal session means the individual houses will resume, both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and the two different houses at the state level. Now, it is a convention. In the both the houses of parliament, they will lay down the speech of the president. They will lay down the speech of the president, and when they are laying down, with the approval of the president, with a proper authentication from the president, they will lay down. So the concerned secretaries of the both the houses, they will lay down. Once it is laid down, then it is available to the members, both the Hindi and English version. And in some states, with the approval of the governor, they are distributing it prior to the presentation of the speech, and they are following it. But a parliamentary practice that we are following it in the parliament is, yes, they will lay down after the speech got completed with only appropriate approval of the president. And if any corrections are there, the president will suggest the correction, and the necessary corrections, the corrigendum related to the correction will be circulated to the members. And after that, with a gap of some days, let it be 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, the house will take up the discussion, because the constitution is mandating both the houses to discuss the items mentioned it in the address. So they will discuss, and at the end of the discussion, they will pass this motion of thanks. Motion of thanks. So this is the procedure involved it in the president's speech. And it will happen in two cases. One is the first session after the general election. Second one is the first session of every year. And earlier, our constitution, the original constitution, intended for the speech of president or governor for every session. But we thought like every session is not possible, because you have to spend lot of time, and it is administratively it is expensive. That is why we have amended the constitution. In the first constitution amendment, we said like, instead of every session, okay, the first session after the general election and the first session of every year. So now on these two occasions, it requires the speech of the governor or the president requires. So this is something related to the procedure involved in it. Now the issues, important issues. First one, should president or governor read the speech, because normally it happens only in the states, so I am taking only state case. Should governor read the speech? The answer is yes, because it is his constitutional duty. It is his constitutional duty. And in the Abdul Ghaffur Habibullah versus Speaker of West Bengal in the year 1966, this is a famous case, and in that case the Calcutta High Court said governor cannot decline constitutional duty. Governor cannot decline its constitutional duty. And suppose if there is no such speech, I told you the proceedings of the House can be challenged at any court of law, because they may become illegal or invalid. So it is a constitutional duty. So the governor should read the speech, and state government must allow the governor to read the speech, because by interpreting, by using the constitutional provisions, by extending the last session, you can't say like this is a continuation of last session, so I don't allow the governor to address the legislature. So this is the first one. Next question is, can governor change the speech? Okay, I told you like though it is a governor's speech, but it is not the personal speech of governor. The speech must be given by the government, that is it must get an approval of the Council of Ministers. Once it got the approval of the Council of Ministers, can governor alter that speech? Can he bring any changes? The answer is no. He is not supposed to bring any changes, because there was no such convention and this was not such a practice. Because we are in a parliamentary democracy in which the real executive is the Council of Ministers, and they want to say something, yes. And if you have any objection, you can communicate it with the Council of Ministers again, or the Chief Minister again, you can do the necessary changes. But unilaterally, governor don't have any authority to alter the speech which was approved by the Council of Ministers. Third one. Is it compulsory to read the full speech? Okay, the speech may consist of, let it be some 20 pages, 30 pages. Is it compulsory to read the full speech? The British Convention says like we have to read the full speech. That means president or governor has to read the full speech. But normally they will read, in normal cases they will read. But if reading is not possible because of any other reason, the reason can be maybe a disturbance in the house, maybe a health issue to the concerned person, that is president or governor, or maybe there is a time constraint, because if the speech itself is taking, let it be 2 hours or 3 hours, then it is not required to read the full speech. It is not required to read the full speech. You can read some portion and you can say like the remaining portion I am just laying it, you can lay it on the table. You can lay it on the table. So that will consider like it deemed to be read. But if he deliberately don't read some speech, okay, he has to read the full speech, but he has read some speech and he has left other speech, then how we need to consider it? And for that there are 2 different cases. First one is, it was given in the case of Rajasthan. That case was Yogendra Singh Handa versus State of Rajasthan in the year 1967. The judgment is, some portion read by the governor was good enough to deem the whole address read. That means even if governor reads some portion, we can consider like the whole speech has read. So this is what the judgment given in the Rajasthan case. There was another judgment given in the same case, that is Abdul Ghaffur Habibullah versus Speaker of West Bengal. It was in 1966, that is West Bengal. In this case, the Calcutta High Court has given, without reading of speech, if governor walks out of house by laying down the address on the table, is mere irregularity but not illegality. It's not illegal, but it is irregular. That means, is it compulsory to read the full speech? The specific answer is no. But the convention says yes. And if some circumstances don't permit you to read, then you can read some portion and you can lay remaining portion on the table, so that it will deemed like the governor read the speech. Next one. Can governor skip any specific portion of the speech deliberately? You are ready to read the speech, you have not altered the speech given by the legislature, you want to read the full speech, but in that you want to skip some specific portions. Can a governor do it? Can a governor deliberately skip some portion? And this is what happened in many states. Now it happened in Tamil Nadu. Earlier it was happened in West Bengal. It was happened in the state of Kerala. Many times it happened in the state of Kerala. So this is, and even Rajasthan also it happened. So the issue is, can a governor skip any specific portion of the speech? Ideally the answer is no. But it happened in some cases, and there are some judgments related to these cases also. Now, ideally the governor should read the speech, but the point is, if the speech is consisting of, because you must understand, governor is appointed by the president. Governor is not only a constitutional head, but he is a representative of the union government at the state level. And if our speech find out any adversarial comment against the union government or against the governor himself, or if that speech is crosses the limits and purview of the objectives of that speech, then definitely governor can skip those portions. Suppose if there is an adversarial remarks against the union government, and in case of West Bengal, the governor's speech itself, it's not the present day West Bengal, it was happened in the 1960s. The governor's speech consisting of an adversarial comments against the governor, then he chose not to read. And suppose I already told this speech is all about the government policies and the legislation schemes and the previous achievements and the future plan. Apart from this, if you bring any other reference which is no relevant to that particular event, then governor can skip it. And this was happened in various cases. And especially in the Calcutta case, in one particular case has said the governor having a right to delete or not to read the irrelevant portion with policy of government. So there was an Calcutta High Court judgment that a governor is having a right to skip or not to read some portions if it is irrelevant to the policy of the government. That means this is that. So now should the governor read the speech? Yes, it is a constitutional duty. Can a governor change the speech? No. Is it compulsory to read the full speech? In a stricter sense, no, but in a normally he has to read. Can a governor skip any portion of the speech? Normally no, but in an extraordinary cases, yes, he can, because there was a precedent and also there was some judgment related to it. Next, discussion on the speech, amendments and passage of the motion of thanks immediately or eventually. This is very important, because in this particular Tamil Nadu case, the chief minister tried to move the resolution then and there itself. And you must understand the process. This is a special event presided by the president, and no one is supposed to speak, because it's not a normal regular functioning of house where with the permission of the speaker you can speak, but only after some time the legislature will discuss it. The legislature will discuss it. And initially the constitution said like, no, first you have to discuss the president or governor speech, later you can take up the legislative agenda, but that was changed because it requires some time for the members to read and understand what was there in the president or governor speech. So now they will fix a date. Now they will fix a date. Or otherwise, if you want to pass any motion or something, after completion of the president's speech, there is a the house is recessed for half an hour, and after that, after half an hour, a normal session begins. And in this normal session, you can do it. And in this normal session, it is presided over by the speaker or the deputy speaker. So now here you can do it. But as long as the president or governor is addressing, you are not supposed to do it. So when governor suspended when the governor expelled the members of the house of Rajasthan, the High Court said it clearly, like the members will definitely get an opportunity to discuss about the president's speech, and if you are creating any disturbance while governor or president is in house, that will create an obstruction to the performance of the constitutional duty of the governor or president. So you are not supposed to do, and what was the action taken by the governor is lawful. So that means you are not supposed to discuss anything when governor is there. Later you will have an ample opportunity of time to discuss, because they will clearly demarcate the time, and during that time all the political parties will participate in that, because a member, that means a proposer, will propose this motion of thanks to the president or governor, and later all the political parties will discuss, and at the end of the debate it is the prime minister normally give the reply to it, and after that they will pass. And during this time you can also suggest some amendment. You can also suggest some amendments. The house can accept or the house can reject it. Anyhow, I will come to that. If accept, what will happen? If rejects, what will happen? Okay. So that means the discussion on the speech, or any amendments to the speech, or any resolution pertaining to the speech will not be happen immediately, but it will happen only eventually, that means after some time. And especially when the president or the governor is there in the house, you are not supposed to speak. So this is a convention. The point is, okay, suppose if that particular speech has accepted by the house and they have passed the motion of thanks, then the respective communication will send by speaker to the president, or in case of state it is governor, again president will send the acknowledgement and speaker will read it on the house. This is how it happens. Suppose if you amend or if you reject, that means if you, in the sense, if the house amends or if the house rejects, then what will happen? If the house amends or if the house rejects, then that lead to fall of government. That lead to fall of government, because a government has come up with a policy, but your legislature is not accepting that policy. That means you don't enjoy the majority in the house, and that lead to the want of confidence, and that may lead to the resignation of the government and the resignation of your chief minister. Suppose while they are discussing the motion of thanks, if your council of minister resigns, then this motion of thanks will become infructuous. But if they are unable to pass, then definitely it lead to the fall of government. The legislature start asking the chief minister to prove his majority in the house. But in some cases, the chief minister and the whole majority members of the house, if they oppose the speech of the governor, That's what happened in case of Tamil Nadu. Because the Tamil Nadu assembly or the chief minister, he don't want the speech of Tamil Nadu governor. He want another speech which is approved by the house, approved by the council of ministers. That means if the speech itself is rejected or amended by the majority of the members or the chief minister, then definitely it is a political embarrassment to the chief minister, because it is your own policy, maybe little bit adjusted, little bit changes done by the governor, and you yourself defeated your own speech. So that lead to political embarrassment. But if some of the members don't accept that, then that lead to a constitutional crisis. That means that lead to fall of government. So these are some of the aspects related to the president or governor speech. So this is related to the important aspects of the president or governor speech, the constitutional provisions, the genesis, the importance of the speech, the procedure involved in the speech, and also some of the issues that are associated with the speech, and also the some judgments of the High Court, and the passage of motion of thanks, and also whether will it lead to constitutional crisis or will it lead to the political embarrassment. And these things are happening in our Indian polity. The only thing is that the governor, when he is making a speech, he must follow some precedent, and at the same time the chief minister should also be very careful when they are writing this speech, because this is not a political platform where you wanted to speak whatever you want. You must understand there is a purpose to it. You are just communicating to the legislature about your activities, and you must confine only to those aspects, and you should not bring some other aspects, and you should not bring any derogatory comments, and those things you can discuss at the different political platform. And this is a very solemn and formal occasion. Definitely we need to respect it. And some people seriously questioning, should we really need this practice? Let the governor focus on the other constitutional duties. It is nowhere relevant today, though it is a solemn, though it is a formal thing, but it was started in the British era where executive and legislature is separate. That is why they used to meet regularly. But now the executive is part of the legislature, every day he is answering, every day he is speaking in the legislature. Why you need to have a specific thing? But anyhow, it is permitted under the constitution, and it is the constitutional duty, and we must follow it. Okay, thank you.
Amrita IAS Academy.